Welcome to Audio Branding, the hidden gem of marketing. Sound plays a more important role in human behavior and our decision-making than you may realize. In this podcast, I'll help you understand the art and science of sound so you can better influence others in business and your life. I'm your host, Jodi Krangle. Let's delve a little deeper. Have you had any particular success with individuals who have done this? I'm assuming that you've done this with a lot of different people, so maybe you have many different stories and no names need to be mentioned. But is there anyone that you thought really benefited from this particular exercise?
Yeah, well, I work a lot with performers, so I can give you a few examples. Like, one of my clients came to me because she had this dream of always wanting to sing, and perform, and she thought that that's why she needed to come to see me. And then we started working on helping her become more aware of how she was communicating. And when she realized that when she learned these techniques, she realized that even in her workplace, because she also worked in a corporate environment, that every time she showed up in a meeting or something, she was like putting on this big bubbly, energetic personality, because that's how she felt like she had to express her power, and what she realized is that if she actually just dropped down into that power center of her body, the real power, then she no longer had to put on this fake persona or this person in front of her. And she said, I just feel so relieved, because my whole life I've been putting on that, cheery, bubbly person that I thought I had to put out into this world. And now I can just sit there in my body and just feel calm and relaxed and centered, but I feel kind of confident and powerful in how I'm expressing myself. So it's a much more holistic way of a natural way of expressing. And so she realized, it helped her realize many things about all parts of her life, But I've had other clients who've just said, you know what, I sit at a dinner party with difficult people sometimes, and
okay.
You're having those challenging conversations,
sure,
and I just
we
go
all
in.
have those,
yeah, and she just goes, when somebody's really triggering me, I just, with what they're saying, they have a very forthright, opinion on something. She says, I just drop into my my body. I get into that powerful, calm state, and I'm able to respond, in a much more different way than than I would naturally, or even just to feel less triggered by that,
Yes.
And just think about it, for asking for what you want, like some of my clients used to perform and perform for very little, like it's a very common thing for musicians to undervalue themselves, and
the starving artist mentality. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And one of my clients said, he literally stopped doing gigs for free, or for for a low pay, because he was able to just stand in his body and realize, and some part of that inner voice was saying to him, you're worth more than this. And so he was able to hear that within himself, get that truthful message that he never heard before, because he thought, I should be, putting myself out there and doing it in a way that most people do. And it helped really shift that mindset. And so now he said, I'm doing way better gigs, and I'm just always saying, this is my price, that's it, and when you say it and do it in this powerful but grounded state, people respond better to you as well. That's what I have found personally. I just, that confident state is coming through in my sound and my voice, and my energy when I'm in that place. So people just say, oh, okay, I'll pay you that, Whereas before, my sound and my voice may have sounded, frazzled or lacking confident, lacking power, all my lack of self-value coming through. And therefore they would try to bargain with me, or, things like that, and so it shifts in so many ways. Mm-hmm. Just with this, one simple exercise, you can get started with that. Of course, there's a lot more to it,
I'm sure there is.
Yeah. Knowing your self-worth and self-value. But this is a way to tune into the part of your body which helps you hear it within yourself, is what I'm trying to say.
That's key. Yeah, definitely. And I really like the idea that can help artists understand that they are worth something. Because that's a hard lesson sometimes for people to understand and come to terms with. Because I think people are afraid of the idea that if they say no to something, that nothing else like it will ever come along. That, deep down, maybe they feel like if they say no to this one thing, they're never going to get another job,
Yeah.
And if we're okay with saying no and not getting that job and waiting for the next thing that you will have time for after having said no to that other thing, then it can work out way better than you ever imagined it would. So coming to that calmness of understanding that it's not about lack, there's more coming. That could be hard though, because I think some of us learn in childhood that, the world is lacking, that there's something that we're not going to ever have. And getting past that is a tough thing. I think that's a really hard thing for a lot of people.
Yeah. But, it's all just conditioned beliefs within us, isn't it? Like we've just been taught this, we've been told this, we've had experiences which have reinforced it, and then you get to a point in your life where you think, where your level of self-value is not what it could be. Shifting those type of thoughts and beliefs and is one of the most powerful things that we all need to do.
Definitely.
And I guess what this embodiment practice and some of the other ones I do too, it helps you shift that focus, because when you're in your body and connected to a more powerful, deep point in the body, it shifts you away from those thoughts, So in a practical way, that's what it does. Yeah. But notice where your focus is, because if your focus comes back up to, oh, they're they want to pay me X amount, and my mind's going to those thoughts that you just said, oh, I better just take this, this is probably as good as it's going to get, there are thoughts that you're choosing to focus on in that moment. If you choose to focus on, no, I'm more valuable than this, I know what I'm worth, I'm not willing to compromise that, because I'm very clear that I know what I'm worth, and if you confidently communicate that how good you are, then, in a very honest way, then, you should be paid what you're worth.
Definitely. Yes. And hopefully there are people listening here who will take these words of wisdom and run with them. Because, I've said on a few podcasts, I do not believe that starving artists should be a thing. That should be long gone.
Yeah, I think that sort of came through sort of history, or, like that kind of culture around musicians has just been there for a long time, and it's up to us, every individual, every musician on the planet, to change that. Yeah. One by one, I reckon. Yeah.
Even in history, though, musicians, artists, they all had sponsors. They had people who kept them in a house or whatever, allowed them to have the creature comforts they needed in order to make their art. And we've just, relatively recent times, kind of done away with that. Like, suddenly artists are supposed to be out on their own, figuring it out without any ability to have a roof over their head. How is anyone going to make art that way?
Yeah, exactly. You know, actually, you've raised a great point. I'm putting that out there. Yeah, I want to be housed.
Yes.
I want to be completely supported and housed from now on.
Why not? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have the basics taken care of in order to be able to be in your creative mind. I would imagine it would be really hard to be a creative person and not be able to pay your rent.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I think, I don't know, I think people value the arts to a certain point, but they just don't comprehend how much time and energy and focus needs to go into creating such beautiful art, and space. We need space to allow in what we need to express or create. And so I think perhaps in those days they understood that. You know, they did. And so you raise a beautiful point that we need to help people understand, you know, we're not kind of the same as the everyday worker, you know.
Yeah.
Is that right to say? I don't know if that's wrong to say,
Well,
but it's
a
do you know what I mean?
spiritual endeavor. It really
Yeah.
is. And I'm not talking about like, you know, it doesn't matter what, you know, God or not, whatever spirit you believe in, whether it's within you or outside in the wider world, it's a spiritual endeavor to go into yourself and create something from nothing. Because that's really what it is. You're creating it from your imagination. You're creating it from you. And having creators in this world supported is an important thing.
I hear you, and you said that beautifully.
Thank you.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. So sort of going on from this, I wanted to ask you if you had a mission. So, you know, sort of going into the nitty gritty of what you're offering to people, what you're hoping to get out into the world. What is your mission, and what have you found to be the greatest challenge of that mission?
I think my mission is just it's an extension of just what I've experienced in life, you know, and a big part of that is I wanted to. Somebody asked me yesterday, what is success to you? And what it came down to was to be able to absolutely be who I am and be accepted for that, and to be able to freely express that out into the world. Like, to me, that's the ultimate, because I think then everything else flows from that, you know? And I think a lot of the stress around, you know, in the world, or the way people hold themselves back, you know, from fulfilling goals or dreams, I think it comes from that, not feeling free enough to be absolutely 100% authentically you, and to put that out into the world. And we've also, you know, we've got those masks that we wear, you know, that we've been conditioned to wear in life as well.
The Instagram
so there is
filters.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of what we put out into social
Yeah.
media, I'm sure, is like just made up.
Yeah, you know, so it's the physical self, but it's also the inner self. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like putting that out there, you know, my voice, putting it out there, and being okay with expressing the truth of what I want to say. And I think each and every one of us, if we could just all let down those masks and just be courageously our full selves in as many situations as possible. You know, I mean, for me, I could do that quite freely on the stage, but then in my personal life, I didn't. I would put on the mask of oh, don't let anybody see that I'm weak, you know, or don't let anybody see that I'm failing, or, you know, all these sorts of things, you know. You know, be perfect, and when we're living from that place, or you know, life is harder. And everything is harder. It's, I even found with my students, teaching them to sing or speak, it's harder to make a great sound from that place. But if you freely relax into the authentic person that you are and you let the mask drop, this beautiful sound just comes out of your mouth, out of your body. And that's that authentic sound and voice and part of ourselves. If we shared that with each other more often and connected with people more in that way, I think there would be far more harmony in the world, And so I think that's ultimately my mission. And, if I can help people with tools, like practical tools, or just by speaking about it like this in any way, to encourage them to go within and more, and search for that and find your own purpose and meaning of what that could look like or mean for you. Whether it's you want to just speak up more confidently and put your foot down a little bit more with your children or your partner or, your parents, or you want to step out onto a big stage and be yourself, that's my mission. And yeah.
It's a beautiful mission.
Yeah. And I had to learn to do that myself, and so that's what I share with the world, and that's my message.
Yeah. It's a wonderful message, and I hope that a lot of the people that are listening are going to maybe try some exercises or get in touch with you and ask how they can learn more, because I think it's a good place to be as an artist and a human being. I think knowing your authentic self is important for all of us. But I want to get a little into how sound has affected what you're doing. Obviously, it affects it a lot. But I wanted to ask you why you thought sound was important to us as human beings.
Well, it's ultimately how we connect, I think. It's as human beings, that's how we connect. I mean, we can sit in silence with each other, or we can hug each other, or, but I think what happens is this, through this body is this filter, and as this sound is coming up and out of our bodies, it gets filtered with all sorts of things that repress us, or don't allow us to just be fully open. And so and because I'm trained as a vocal coach, and I understand that it's not just physical things that stop us from producing beautiful voices or great sound. It's energetic, spiritual, emotional. It's all those things. It's psychological. So yeah, I think sound is ultimately as human beings how we connect with each other through our stories, through our lyrics of our songs, through our conversations. So that's what I'm speaking to, that part of our connection.
Yeah, it's so important. So what is it that you're working on now? Are you putting something together for more of your instruction, or do you have a performance that you're working on? Or
yeah, at the moment, I do run some courses, a few times a year. So that's ongoing, and I work with clients, around all of these different topics that we've talked about. But sort of the biggest thing I'm doing at the moment is I'm writing my book. So it's so it's part memoir, and it's also building into all of these tools and things that I'm sharing with you today and more. And so it's another way of me expressing my voice and putting it out there, like to writing it in a book.
Of course.
And so that's the biggest project I'm working on at the moment. And some music, so writing some music and recording. So I'm not on the stage as much at the moment because I did throw myself into the writing, and I want to put some it's been a while since I've put some new music out there. And I want the music and the songs to reflect, you know, this side of me. So that's my project at the moment. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to putting out a new album. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Do you have a working title of the book or anything like that you can share, or just so we can keep an eye out for it? Okay. Just thought I'd ask.
Not yet. I'm still in the process of working out a title, but you know, you can actually join my wait list or just sign up for my newsletter or follow my socials, and you'll see when my book comes out, hopefully by the end of this year.
Wonderful. So do you have a URL that you could share or something like that?
Yeah. I can absolutely share a URL, which is to join the wait list, you know, to be notified of when my book's released. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I will definitely put that in the show notes. And I think that it's really important what you're probably going to have in that book. I think there's a lot of really interesting inner work that will be very helpful for people who communicate in sound or are creative in any way. So, yeah. Thank you so much for being here. This has been really enlightening.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And it's really great. I love the message that you're sending out there about how important sound is and the impact that it has on so many levels, you know, in our lives.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I love what you're putting out into the world with this inner work as well, because I think it's very important for people to understand themselves before they can create great art. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jodi.
Well, that's the end of this episode. Thanks for listening. And if you like what you heard, why not tell a friend about this podcast? It's available in all the usual locations. Until next time.